Hey, everybody, Ashley here. Today, I'd like to give the younger generation a little bit of advice. It's shocking. I'm 35, yes, and had the ups and downs of it. Been through divorce. I've been through college, acting school. Worked in offices, and even waited on tables for 10 years and worked in fast food. So I have a general grasp of some mix and match of different types of occupations and relationships and things. And some things I wanted to tell myself back when I was like 17, 18, 21, certain pivotal moments in life. The same advice I want to give you, younger generation that's on TikTok now. A couple things first. Number one, learn to save. Yes, I know that part sucks because you just want to spend, spend, spend. You want to go out, you want to party, you want to be with your friends. Yes, we all do, or most of us do at least that. But it can get you in the long run if you don't, because you never know if your car is going to break down, whether it's new, old, or even if you ride a bicycle or you take public transportation. You don't know your living situation from day in, from day out. You don't know if you're going to be leaving your parents' home, if you're going to have good roommates, bad roommates, if the cost of your apartment or house is going to skyrocket, or if the landowner of the place you're renting is going to kick you out. These are things you need to fully be aware of now, especially if you're fixing to leave home or you just left home and your first couple months of it. Truly get to understand this. The biggest thing with any earnings you get, because a lot of times you're going to max out your checks. That's pretty typical. In some cases, some don't have that problem, but make sure, of course, bills are covered first, and then at least preserve 10% of your savings at all times. Although with today's time, I would recommend 15% if you can, if not 20. Start looking into different ways to invest your money, earn side money, to fully get to understand how taxes truly work when you start filing. Work with your accountant or whoever you choose that will give you sound advice of, okay, so you need to have them take out more here, or you need to, do you have more charities? You do, are there what stuff can you deduct from the work that you do, things you can deduct from school or trade work, whatever you can come up with. And part of that money part is also about credit cards. Credit cards, I was always taught, were meant to be emergencies, but nowadays they put it more where it's more than just that. It's you got to build your credit with them. So when you use that credit card, you need to think, okay, can I pay this item off before the interest hits? Because if you can't get that low interest rate, you're going to get hit with like a 20-25% interest charge. And let's say you somehow manage to get a $2,000 credit limit and you max that sucker out at like Christmas. A lot of us have done it, myself included. It's gonna backfire in the long run, and it's not gonna be that easy to recover from it. Truly understand this, because it can bury you alive, whether you take out loans that you can't afford to pay back, or more credit cards than you can handle. You need to be prepared for this. So some things I recommend to charge your card that you can pay off is things like groceries and gas. And now, if you use these cards anywhere for security purposes, you need to learn to watch if people put in card readers, that can skim off the numbers and stuff. This is coming from someone that does some IT and cyber, so I'm just giving that sound advice. Pay attention to this. Constantly, a part of this money part is monitoring your accounts. Check on them at least once a day, if not twice a week. You need to make sure you know clearly what is coming out of your bank accounts, your credit cards, whatever it is. Track your spending to a T. I know that may sound boring and tedious, but it's going to help you in the long run. Number two, relationships. I made a big mistake. I, got with someone when I was young. We got engaged very young after just a few short months, and it did not go over well, even though we were together about 10 years. And I even, went up and down through the dating world of it. And it was even, of course, different age, different weight, everything, hair was longer, blah, blah, all that stuff. But you need to really pay attention to who you get with. And sometimes there's nothing wrong with being alone. One of the biggest things I liked from Keanu Reeves is, when he wasn't dating a whole lot at one point, he mentioned that, he could treat his own self out and be the best person for him as a date anyways. There's nothing wrong with that. You can treat yourself to that and understand that. And speaking of that, for the next bit of advice for number three is treating yourself. Yes, don't go overboard with it, but find a way to treat yourself once a month. And if you have to have more treats than that, you need to really think about what those are, how expensive they are, pick what they are, find ways to incorporate them into hobbies or even your work if you can. Because what if your hobby that you're treating yourself with can become part of your work or your career later on, whichever path you go? Because some people, they could be influencers, they could be writers, they could be engineers, chemical physicists, meteorologists, whatever you can find to incorporate into that. And there's some girls that love the hobby. For them personally, it's a hobby is makeup, and some of them learned to harness that talent and use it. At events, they found people that needed it for weddings and things like that. And I even had a friend of mine that is really good with makeup, and so I could trust her for something like that when I had her for my second marriage and final marriage. um, and that's something you need to consider. The part of that also is you don't need everything in life, so that's your number three. You don't. I went through the same mistake, when I was young and had that chance to be out and buy things. It was like, hey, this is really kind of neat, but it just, in the end, it will catch up. But if you do end up with too much stuff, just figure out, what can sell if you ever in a bind, or you need to donate off to charity because it does come as a tax write-off, depending how much it is. Now, that's a big thing with tax write-offs. Try to get receipts and follow these. Now, granted, if you're in a great situation, just donate. If it's closed, don't worry about the write-offs. And at that point, those can be something you need to really consider. The fourth part is learn not to hold grudges. These are going to be hard and difficult, I know, but it's something you need to do, or it's going to be a mental anguish for you. Um, the next is, for me personally, is think about where you're living and where you want to live. What can you truly afford? This is the same with getting a vehicle or a bicycle or whatever transportation you use. Make sure this is something 100% you can afford. Because what if you're out of work for 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, 12 months? I don't care. Or you miss a week of work and they don't offer sick pay, vacation pay, which is a good thing about the current office work that I do outside my film work, is that they offer vacation pay and sick leave, which is great. And I've been at jobs that didn't have that before. That was my decision because those jobs offered different things at that time. Like one of them, I could work the schedule more, so I could actually be on film sets to build that part up, or I could go to college, whatever I needed to do. And, that's very important. The next step is building relationships outside of, a spouse, boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever, with your family truly. If they're a bad family, I completely understand that sometimes that can't happen. But sometimes getting, a bonding relationship with like your grandparents. For me, rebonding with my grandmother in my early 30s was one of the best things I ever did. Um, I got to have the last couple of years with her before she passed of just learning all these amazing things and getting to see how she grew up, and just how she felt herself with her life. And then she also taught me things that, I didn't learn of any other way. So this is something important for you. One of the fun, getting towards the end of this, the next part is don't get so hooked onto social media and your cell phones that you completely forget what life is, because this can cause several things: car accidents, ruin relationships, this can hurt your job. That happened with Pokemon Go. I watched it, even though it was cool. It was a cute, fun game though. And some people, they're trying to build up their brand. I get it, but you got to learn to break away from social media at some point. Like, set yourself a set amount of time per day: 30 minutes, 1 hour, 5 minutes, whatever it is you got to do. Most of mine is on for connecting with family or networking, or in some cases, building parts of a brand. But set a certain amount of time so you're not glued to it for 6 to 8 hours a day. And then, like, if something happens where their social media is down for a day, you're not going to be in suicidal mode, crazy mode. And if it does, have a backup. Learn to pick up that book. I love to read, and and that moves into the next step. When you get stuff like books or anything, don't be afraid to look for sales, clearance, coupons. Go to thrift stores, yard sales. Learn this early. Don't pay full price unless you have to, because you can't haggle at every place. That's not how this is going to work. And that's important for you. And also, getting to do this can learn to open up more variety in life for you of different hobbies and things. So that's another important thing is, you need to try to find different unique hobbies and things to study outside of your choice of career path, or the work that you're in, just so you can broaden your horizons. And and that's important. And another part is to focus on your health. I know a lot of the partying, drinking, smoking, whatever, and some of it's outside the partying too, where it may be for you a good way to relax, calm down. But remember that your health is important and that the older you get, the higher chances of problems you're going to get. It will happen. It happens to everybody. Some people will have very minor health problems, but you need to understand this. And some of these are not fixable, and some are, but it can be costly even without insurance or not. And a prime example for me, it's silly. I was, working out and I injured my foot and put it off for too long. And in the long run, it actually, cost me where I spent several months wearing a brace and everything. And this just giving you an idea of some health things that can happen no matter what age you are. And there's people that cost themselves if they go overboard with it. And think it also as a cost factor too. And the final piece of advice I want to give this younger generation is learn to love and trust yourself and be aware of who you're around and what you're doing in life, because you're only given one life. This is not, the cat has 9 lives. It's not how this works with us as humans. It's not going to. Scooby back here, yeah, he might get along because I can fix him anytime. But for humans yourself, this is important. You need to truly understand everything around you, whether it's security, health, and don't just jump on the bandwagon of something because you want to do what everybody else is doing. Because the question is it really right for you? Does it make you feel better? Does it take up more part of your time that you could have used something else in your life? And does it affect you personally for the love of yourself and trusting yourself? And just, it keeps you grounded and better accepting and aware of everything. So please keep this in mind to yourself whenever, especially if you're doing social media. And if there's trolls, try to ignore them, delete them, report them, whatever you got to do. Just remember, there's always going to be somebody out there that's unhappy with their life, no matter what. And it's the old saying, misery loves company. So they don't give a crap. Their goal is to tear you down. Nope. I just tell them, whatever. So what? You know? And some of them, unfortunately, you can't do that with them. It may not work, but the bulk of the trolls online are just there to stir things up. But for you, if you are still in school and getting bullied, do what you can to protect yourself, stand up for yourself. And if that doesn't work, try hard to get somebody in there. And don't be afraid to talk to people if you need some type of help mentally wise. Don't be afraid of it. I know it's like a stigma and it's difficult to understand, but having whether a journal to write in or another person to talk to or even an animal, whatever you got to do, just, be aware of all this and how you take care of yourself whenever you're going on with social media and, of course, life.